Isn't it about time dads and men had a podcast for us? Somewhere we could go to relieve some stress, help the time pass, and have a chuckle or two. A place for us. This is Word Brings Word. If you're looking for a show with general trending topics and concerns by men and dads, you've found your home. Funny, opinionated, real and raw. This is Word Brings Word, and this is your host, Bruce Jackson.
Welcome back to another edition of Word Brings Word. This is Bruce.
This is Gene.
We got Terry, 2 Bricks on the phone. And we got our boy Big D on the phone also. You may know him as Diezel. If you're out here somewhere, you're about to get hemmed up by Big Swole security guard. That's Diezel right there, okay? So anybody got any word today? You got any word, Gene?
Man, you know, sometimes word bring word.
Oh, 2 Bricks, you got anything? How you living over there, brother?
I'm living good.
Okay.
Thank God.
Real good. So we know D will be back with us in a second. So I figured today is something good to be for we can talk about that's going to hit home for everybody, especially during these holiday seasons.
Right.
Let's talk about health in general, especially weight loss and how it pertains to weight loss. So let's take it back to when we were younger, what we thought we knew, you know, what, first of all, the habits that were instilled in us as we were younger, you know, like was carbs and fats and sugars and things like that discussed in y'all's household or not? Things you might have learned along the way. If you got too big, or if you're big or overweight now, when do you think it happened? When's the last time you remember being small? Let's just attack all that from all angles, right? And because we may be able to just help someone out there today who think they know, but they really don't know.
But they still got to eat Christmas dinner.
Well, this might help them. This might help them before Christmas come in.
Right.
All right. So, what you about to say something, Terry?
Well, he made a comment. We still got to eat Christmas dinner. This doesn't stop you from eating Christmas dinner. We just have to, I think, change the way the things that we eat at Christmas dinner, and it's got to be a mindset for the whole entire family.
Right.
If we are struggling with obesity, so that don't stop Christmas dinner. We want to live longer, right?
Right.
That's the goal.
Well, and I feel like that's part of the key is like, hey, if you think about how long people used to live, all of that really is health. So, who y'all want to start? You want to start off, Gene?
I mean,
take us back to when you were a little Gene. First off, do you remember eating the same thing back then that the kids are eating nowadays, or how is that different? Let's all just go around talking about that.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's totally different. I think poverty is different. Like what people consider poor is different, like compared to back then. Because I literally used to make the Kool-Aid and then pour it in the ice trays and put them in the freezer. Kids don't even know what ice trays are nowadays, but you know, just to make a lollipop and stuff like that. I mean, just being serious.
Terry, you laughing, but I just thought about that. Like, you know what? There's kids out here who would see an ice tray and be like, "What is this?"
I know my son would.
That's funny.
You don't really think about stuff like that until you mess around and see a kid looking like, what do we do with this? And then you realize, man, we had to make ice cubes.
Yeah, there wasn't no machine that did.
But see, technology and stuff take over so fast, you don't really realize something as simple as an ice cube is just being created by this machine so easily. Today, a kid got to just go. Matter of fact, if a kid was to go to like somebody's great-grandparents' house who still had the old school joint, and they're like, oh yeah, reach up there, crack the little ice tray to get a couple cubes out, they'd be looking confused, like, well, where's the ice at? Well, how do I, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
That is funny. I have to say this real quick, because I moved into this house when I first got here, and the folks had a regular phone on the wall, and I'm not lying, all my young people, what's that, Pops?
Terry, man.
I laughed so hard, man. I said, that's what I used to use. It had to sit at the table to talk to people.
Yeah, dude.
But anyways, go ahead.
Until you got that long extension cord. You walk around the whole house with that bad boy.
Or at least a little further. But yes, that is true. But let's get back on the topic.
Well, no, I mean that's part of it, right? We're still talking about how things have changed over time. Like I think I remember eating processed foods like little cereals, milk, stuff like that. But I think the stuff is like I remember it being a little more healthy, and I only say that from the standpoint of everything didn't have so much sweetness in it, just the actual cereal itself. I remember more of the stuff that had more of the bran flakes that might have had a little bit of extra stuff mixed in it. When nowadays everything is sugar based, even from the look. Now, what I didn't realize, I heard something the other day that was talking about basically marketing, advertising. It was talking about how all of the sweet stuff like that is on the low shelves at the stores because they're trying to put it there for it to be at the kid's eye level so that the kid could easily see that and be like, oh, mommy or daddy, I want this, where that healthier type stuff is up higher for us. And I was like, well, dang, that's kind of deep. You wouldn't realize how far they go to make it easy for you to think you want this or for the kid to see that and say, I want this. You know what I mean?
Right.
What about you, Terry? I mean,
do y'all feel like cereal's even as big now as it used to be? I feel like cereal was way bigger back in the day.
Well, it
I
was.
don't know. In my household, cereal is big.
It was. Well, your household today is big, right there.
In my household today, yesterday, back in the day.
But I mean, so
is big.
I've heard times now, Terry. I've heard times now where you're like, man, we had some pancakes or some eggs and this and that. I think Gene's saying back in the day, he felt like he was always eating cereal for breakfast.
I mean, I think people going out more now. You got Chick-fil-A in the morning, stuff like that, where you're actually eating more out in the morning. And like I said, you're not as poor as you used to be. So if you are pulling up and at McDonald's and getting breakfast, it's still McDonald's. It's, you know what I mean? Back in the day, you couldn't even afford really. When you went to McDonald's like a weekend, it was a treat.
What you think, Two Bricks?
Well, we did eat a variety of stuff for breakfast. We did because my mom was a cook, so those things were nothing for her to whip up. But she also taught us how to do all that. So, but it was easier for my two brothers and myself to eat cereal. Even though she taught us how to make that stuff, I just make some cereal.
So this is one thing that I can say for sure. And I'm not blaming my mom because I feel like our parents do their best. And when it comes to being a parent, you do what you know is the best or think to be the best for that time, for what you know and your experiences you've lived and stuff, and what you learn. And you don't really know until as you get older or you see a kid growing up a certain kind of way or whatever, then you might think, man, maybe I should have did this or maybe I should have changed that or whatever. So I'm just saying I don't really ever recall my mom having conversations with me about the nutrition facts on the nutrition facts or tables in the back of foods, or fats versus sugars, or we don't need to be eating so many carbs, things of that nature. Did y'all ever have those conversations in your household when you were younger with parents?
No.
Okay. And that's why I'm hoping maybe this discussion today, maybe someone to hear this and be like, you know what, let me just run this by my kids. Even just for a little bit, just say, hey, you need to think about this, or let me tell you that or whatever. At least give them a little bit of information where they can be a little informed on their decisions. You know what I mean?
Right. I'm going to tell you right now, for me and my family, it probably didn't come up because our family didn't have, we didn't have obesity in our family. We were all small, little skinny kids. Parents were small. My dad was not heavy, but he was a good size. So I think that's why it never came up, because it didn't run in our family for us to be worried about it. But now in my adult age and in the last 10 years, I really need to start looking at this, because this is not healthy.
Now, you just pointed something out there. Our foods and the things we have that we can consume nowadays is a lot different than 20, 25 years ago. Everything has changed massively over the times. You know what I mean? So it would have been it was a little easier back then, Terry, for y'all to eat whatever it was you're eating and you're working, you probably were a little more naturally active back then than kids nowadays also. See, back then, you probably were running around outside playing. I know when I was younger, I knew to get off the bus. I was staying at home by myself at 12 years old. I don't know about anybody else. 12 years old, I knew get off the bus. I had to walk up the street, up and down the street to get to my house, pull out my key. Boy, you go in the house by yourself. I remember like my mom just told me yesterday, you go in the house by yourself. You don't let nobody else in there. You know, the first thing to do is you do your homework before you're allowed to go play, because she worked evenings. Right. Do your homework before you go outside to play. And she cooked me something and left it on the stove. And was like, and don't you eat all that food up. But I still would eat a big majority of it. And that's how I got here today, to be this big. But I still was active. See, kids nowadays, the equivalent of that today would be bus stop, drop you off in front of your house. You go in and you might do some homework or whatever, but you really getting on the computer or the PlayStation or something. Right. And if not that, then you're going to be sitting there on your phone.
The phone,
you know what I mean?
Most likely.
But there's no more community. I knew Marcus lived over there. I knew that I had a friend live over here. Scott was next door. I knew all the friends around the block. So even if I was bored, I could say, hey, Marcus, you want to come over? Let's go outside and act like Ninja Turtles and play, roll down the yard and be up there. Oh, Scott, you want to play basketball? Okay, yeah, let me finish this math and then we can go play basketball. Right. That activity isn't there. So that activity that Terry had back then helped a lot, especially as a young kid. But when you take away the activity, plus you're adding in way more chemicals in the foods, way more processed foods, higher concentration of sugar and high fructose corn syrup, and all the different ways that sugar can be manipulated to still be put into foods without it just saying sugar. Boom, there we go. Who got something to say about that?
I mean, it's so true. Well, I hate seeing it say now made with real sugar. Like, what was it made with before? Like, what was the main ingredient before that? Like you said, we got to a point where artificial flavors are taking over everything. I feel like back in the day, we wasn't there yet, or probably would have been there if we would have had some of the technologies and the knowledge that we have now. So, I mean, I feel like it was coming, but, you know, I'm also at a point where now, like you said, this could help somebody in their family, because I feel like my mama knew better, just like I know better. So I'm making changes in the house, but I don't feel like I've sat down and really, you know, chopped it up with my son. Like, hey, this is what calories are. This is, you know, I haven't done that, but I've took stuff out the house. Like, I've stopped buying certain things, you know, because I feel like right now we all have kids, but we'll still give them some processed stuff, knowing that it's eventually going to kill them slowly but surely. You know, McDonald's may not be good for you because of XYZ with this processed stuff in there. And we still might stop there. Not every day, but you're still doing some of the things. Like, you know, you're still having sugars in the house. You're still buying, you know, processed food. So it's like, you know, even with the knowledge we have, it's about really taking that step.
So two things what you just said. For one, why do you feel like your mom knew better when these exact same problems wasn't here when she was growing up or when you were little? The exact same problems we face today wasn't there then. Two, when you brought up the fact that you hate stuff says made with real sugar, that's all advertised and marketing. And that's being put on certain packages now because they realize the fake sugars have been such a big controversy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So back then when we were younger, stuff didn't say made with real sugar because that wasn't a thing. But then here come the age of aspartame, Splenda, all these different sugars or different sweeteners to use. You know what I mean?
Right. But how many packages say that? When did they convert is what I'm saying. Like,
they converted when they needed to for sales. Oh,
right,
shoot.
Right. And I'm saying, but to the public, when did they say, okay, we're taking real sugar out? So when it says now made with real sugar, it's a shock factor for most people because, like, again, what was it made with before? Yes, if you do your research, then you know it might have been Splenda.
But see, most people don't know enough to research. They just live life.
Word?
What up, D? They just live life, and it's like when all the chemicals started happening and they started introducing all the sugars and everybody started getting fat and cancers and stuff like that. The cancer era brought around people talking about, wait a minute, what's going on? We have too much chemicals, the aspartame, the this or that. You know, right. Even if it all ain't true, it's just everything that's out there being talked about. So me and you over here at company ABC got to say, man, you know what? We got to change our package and our delivery for people to keep buying this. So now we're going to still keep our sugar content up So the food still is as bad as it was, but now let's just use regular sugar versus all the chemicals, and we can put a big sign on the front corner of this package that says made with real sugar. So now when Terry goes to the store, he sees that, and he don't think about the fact he shouldn't be having the sugar anyway. He just thinks about the fact, well, at least it's the natural sugar, because this other documentary or something I saw said at least your body knows how to handle that sugar. Right. Yeah, this is better. Or let's get the Coke because it says made with cane sugar. Right. That's better than a Coke with aspartame or something. So Terry, you was about to say something a second ago.
Yeah, I lost it.
Oh, okay. So D, we talking about these sugars and the the artificial sugars, things like that. What we went through when we was younger. I know you was eating that cereal. You was raised on that cereal. You was younger, right? You think your parents knew better? You think they only knew what they knew based off of how they grew up and stuff, or what? What do you think they knew in terms of the cereal and processed foods and stuff that you probably were eating or had in your household when you were little?
Well, you know what? What's crazy is I grew up a little different. I grew up in a household where health and nutrition was number one on the list. But my dad was a vegan, man, so he had me on the wrong diet for my body, me and my sister. And we ended up becoming obese, eating all them carbohydrates and stuff like that. Eating bowls of cereal, because everything was low fat back then, you know what I'm saying? It was a low fat craze. Oh, if it's low fat, you good. Saturated fats kill. So it was just all wrong, man. The science is coming out now that, low fat diets are killing people. You see what I'm saying? So it's crazy, man.
So let's discuss that low fat, right? Let's talk about the different fads that the industry's taking us through. Because I've remembered low fat, then I remember being like, oh, sugar's the problem. You know what I mean? So it seems like these things change, and they kind of flip flop. And now I've seen documentaries on Netflix. You know what I mean? I'm not the researcher, so I can't tell you everything's for sure. But I've seen where they're like, well, this company was really pushing this, and how it looks like the money. If you follow the money trail, you know what I mean? Right. So stuff that don't make sense, follow the money, because we live in a capitalistic society. So it's really about the money. So if I'm company ABC and I really push milk and stuff like that, right, I'm going to be like, hey, y'all, we can't be looking at the fat now, because milk's got a lot of this fat, protein. We got to push this. Let's point at something else. You know what I mean? Let's point at the carbs, the sugars. Right. And I remember, you used to see y'all remember seeing the commercials about all the cheese, and they show the cheese pouring over the broccoli. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah. Showing like, yeah, the fat ain't bad. Look at this. Get your Kraft cheese today or whatever. You see that stuff, and I don't think people really realize how much it programs us more than we really realize it.
Yeah, I mean, the big push on pork, right? Like, you notice, like, you can't even have a breakfast, lunch, or dinner without that included nowadays at most restaurants. It's there. Pork. Now it's a big push now on chicken, So chicken's almost everywhere. You can't have a meal without chicken.
So I'm gonna have D break. I'm gonna have D break it down for us in a second. D been studying hard in it. But I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna see y'all chip in where you can on this and tell me what you think. So I was reading the book one day. I know D put me on to a guy back in the day named Paul Chek. He's like a holistic guy. He real thorough. And one thing that he said was like, I think he had a video. He took his shirt off, swole, pat, 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 pat. And he's like, if your doctor can't do this, look like this, why would you listen to him? And I remember thinking, oh shit, that's real. That's real. Like, I wouldn't, if I saw a doctor that was overweight and sagging skin and all the stuff like that, like, man, this is what you got to do to be healthy. People give so much credit to those acronyms that's on the back of the names and the titles that they don't really look at you and be like, well, wait a minute, why am I listening to this guy? Okay. All right. Maybe a better analogy for y'all is Don King hair is all up looking crazy. But if you went to a barber that looked like that, you wouldn't let that man cut your hair. You'd be like, nah, dog, I'm straight.
I mean, I feel like people kind of do that all the time, though. You know what I mean? Like, they look a certain way, but because they don't have time to do their own hair, like, women doing their hairdressers and stuff sometimes be out of whack. Men too.
Do you go to anybody in your life that you accept that?
Well, I cut my own hair and stuff, so I can't like speak for myself that I would. But yeah, I have. Like, I went to or listened to somebody that didn't have the credentials. They're not the mechanic, but I know they work on cars, but they don't have any title, anything behind them to say. But I know they work on cars.
But that's the reverse. I'm talking about people that got the credentials or say they do that, but they don't have the look to fit like they actually believe and do what it is they're telling you to do.
Like a bodybuilder that's like not built at all.
Would you go to somebody dead skinny to be like, man, I can tell you how to put on this muscle, man? I'm telling you, I'm for sure.
So,
Would you, Terry?
I mean,
D, would y'all
really
believe
depends.
that? Would y'all mess with that personal trainer?
I'm not really sure. I don't really have to have a personal trainer that, for say, looks like a bodybuilder. I mean, because maybe you don't have the structure for that. But if you know what you're talking about and it impresses me, then I'll use you. But I don't really have to have a person that looks like he's got 300 pounds of muscle on him and looks like he works out. I don't need that.
But okay, what does he have to look like? What it is you're wanting to get to, and what it is he says he can do for you? Would you go? Okay,
No.
Terry. Okay, let me say it to you like this. Would you go to a fat obese guy that's in LA Fitness and says, "I can be your personal trainer"? Would you take that?
Now you can't be my trainer because you need training. But
Right.
the guy that's
but
trying
see-
to build muscle.
And that's what I'm trying to say here, because there's gray area if you look at a person that's slimmer to say, okay, maybe he ain't got all the big swollenness muscles, but depending on what your goal is. See, if you're wanting to be a bodybuilder to put on a lot of mass and a lot of swollenness and cut up,
Right.
you ain't gonna do. It may be a little harder for you to trust a slim dude, but definitely to trust a fat dude. You're like, nah, bro, nah. What do you think, D?
I'm not going to nobody who don't look like what they talk about.
Right. So,
I ain't listening to it.
for instance, I got a doctor that I go see, one of my doctors, and he come in after smoking a cigarette. But and automatically I'm just like, golly, mentally that messes with me, because I'm thinking, this doctor is smoking cigarettes and then coming to me about health. But I try to say, but he's human. Everybody's human.
Right.
Everybody has a vice.
Right.
People aren't perfect. So I don't like to really hear people say, oh, the pastor did da 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 da. I'm like, whoa, the pastor's human. Even though for that title and for him being a leader, he should be trying to hold himself above most. He should understand he's got a bigger eye on him, but he's still human. He's not going to be perfect. But anyway, I'm going to sidetrack.
You know what the
Okay.
Lord, Jesus Christ called them hypocrites. That's why they look like that. So,
Oh yeah, hypocrites exist. Hypocrites. Okay, so back to Paul Check. So I remember in his book I was reading, one thing he said was, they use these three things for taste when they're hitting on us: salt, sugars, fats.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all ever read some information or watch a video or learn something, and it seemed like so much common sense, but when you read it, you be like, oh wow, that's deep. Like when you put it like that, say it like that.
Right. So
he pointed toward the sugar, salts, and fats, and was like, this is how combos are created. When you go to a restaurant and you got your sandwich, your burger sandwich, whatever, for your fat, you got your fries and stuff, that's your salts, and then you got your drink, that's your sugars. You know what I mean? That's what's creating that pretty picture of that combo. And then you think about it, wherever you go, when they have these combos up there, so, for fast food stuff especially, these combos have these. Even if you want to take it to like a sub sandwich somewhere, they're going to give you your sugars, your salts or whatever for the side, and then you still got your drinks or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? Then he also pointed out the fact that all the stuff you see on TV that's advertised to us is the bad stuff, which is why it needs advertisement.
Right.
He was like, you don't see commercials saying Olive Garden, ooh, come get this salad. You know what I mean? Maybe if they're pushing the super salad deal or whatever, or they're ever in the pasta, they may have a salad in there. You're not going to just see Zaxby's, come get this salad. This is good for you. Get it with the grilled chicken versus the fried chicken. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Cut that portion down because you don't need that much. You don't need, you know what I'm saying? You don't see that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we got the new chicken sandwiches at McDonald's, but why don't you opt for the grilled chicken sandwich? You know what I'm saying? They're not really here to try to help us with these healthy decisions. They're here to make sales.
Right.
And when it comes to advertising, marketing, they're trying to push whatever they can to. What's y'all's thoughts? Y'all got any thoughts on any of that I just said? Before I'm gonna have Big D start teaching us now. What y'all got?
I don't know. Like, I mean, it's pretty much like a game of, I guess population control to a sense. It's like, because what else would it be that they would put all this bad stuff in the food for the masses now? Not like a certain group of people, but for the masses to eat. So then you think like, oh well, they're killing us, and they know they're killing us, and this stuff is causing cancer and different stuff, and we're still consuming. I mean, that's where I feel like, you asked me earlier, why do I feel like, my parents knew better? Because I feel like if they had more money, they would have made better choices. So I feel like you knew better. You just may have not had the money to make the right choices, or even the power, the mental power to make the right choices, because it's a struggle. I'm a kid and I'm yelling, hey, I want Pop-Tarts. Well, Pop-Tarts got all this sugar and stuff in there. Ain't no real fruit in there. Nothing. You know this. You're still going to get it to me because I'm a kid, so you feel like you're doing the right thing, even though in the long run, you're creating cancer maybe for me, teeth decay, death, but we still go through the cycle. Like, we're all going to get off of here. People that's listening, they're still going to get off here and go do some of the same thing because it's programming. So we have to deprogram for one, but that's hard to do without actually doing a full cleanse or getting all the bad toxins, the salt, sugar, and fat up out of you.
They need to eliminate that.
Not necessarily eliminate diet, but just some kind of cleanse. You know what I mean? Definitely some kind of cleanse to get the toxins out your body.
What'd you say, Terry?
I said, so you said I shouldn't be eating this Pop-Tart now?
What y'all got?
A good example. We're talking about health, and here you go.
What y'all got to say about it? Y'all on the phone, Terry, BD.
Well, how they market for it?
Yeah, just the marketing stuff, or do you? Or do the marketing of the combos and the sugars, fats, and salts and stuff like that? What you got to say?
I think that's part of living in the capitalist society.
You gotta come closer to the phone, man.
You hear me?
Yeah,
we can hear you now.
I said that's a part of living in a capitalistic society. You got people who gonna profit on it, man. McDonald's and those places, they make tons of money, man. So it's up to you as an adult to make a decision.
I was gonna say that.
It's up to you. It ain't McDonald's fault. They ain't put that burger and put a gun to your head. They eat it.
Over a billion sold.
Over a billion sold, man. You know what I'm saying? So, you got companies who gonna say, hey, listen, we're gonna sell our food. It's up to you to say no.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's part of living in a free country.
You got anything on it, 2 Bricks?
I agree with the D there. It's up to you to say no.
Right.
Because we're in the business of making money here. You have to care about your health, and this might not be the place for you, but somebody else will like it. So,
yeah.
I mean, just to play devil's advocate, you're saying it's up to you, but if they're actually brainwashing you, coming up with tactics with colors and smells, things like that to make you do the opposite of what you know, is it still you or is it them? Like how far is that control? Like when we're talking about putting something at our eye level where we can just see the bad stuff and maybe putting the good stuff so high up that we'll never look up there and stuff like that.
It's their job, man. Their job.
It's all part of my marketing scheme, brother. It's all part of my scheme.
It's all part of marketing, man.
I gotta make money.
Gotta make money.
You gotta eat.
I gotta use that.
So find out what you need to eat to make you happy, to make you healthy.
And I think that's part of the problem, man. We live in a country that don't give a dang. They like, hey, we gonna make our bread, man. We don't know what's gonna happen to you. Like, cause you go to certain countries, you won't even have the option to get this stuff. Certain countries outlaw it, So when you look at our FDA and our nutrition labels and stuff like that, right, man, there's so much that they will allow before they'll say, oh yeah, that's too much. Mm-hmm. So even the stuff they're not supposed to have in it, it's okay. It's almost like when they do like the food grade system going into a restaurant. They'll see some bad stuff, and I've seen restaurants still open with a C,
Yeah.
But how much does it take to see that C? Like, whoa, wait a minute, C? What does that mean? You know what I mean? Maybe some expired food, maybe this or maybe that. It just wasn't super duper bad. You know what I mean? So there's so much gray area, before they say, no, you can't do that, or no, you shouldn't have this or whatever.
I mean, it's so hard to find the good restaurants or the good places to get the good nutritional food. And that's like part of the monopoly too, in my mind, because, it's almost how we complain in our own community. There's a liquor store in every corner where there's a McDonald's too. And then everywhere there's a McDonald's, probably within 3 blocks there's a Burger King.
BD ain't going to agree.
It's not as profitable.
We got nutritious food all around us. We just don't know. Everywhere, even McDonald's. McDonald's got nutrition.
Go ahead and preach, D. Go ahead and talk about it.
No. Go ahead.
I mean that I was gonna segue to that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I feel like from a young age, we're set up to just grow up, get into this work system, work, right? Society has everybody moving fast paced. So we really don't put the time and attention and focus on our diets and our cooking and eating stuff like we could, especially when they're like, hey, there's fast food everywhere. So that helps us to be like, you don't need to cook at home. Don't worry about that. We got food over here. Matter of fact, we got $1 menu now. Matter of fact, we got the fo for the fo. You know what I mean?
Right.
$4, we're going to give you all this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So especially as parents get more kids, now, we ain't going to bring up the fact that there may be moms without the dads, and it's not the real nuclear family. It's just the single parents with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kids or whatever. And she's over there like, I got to work. I ain't got time to cook. You know what? I can go by McDonald's, get everybody the little double cheeseburgers. Matter of fact, I can get 6 of those and give each kid one, and then I got one too, and we'll split 2 fries, whatever. Like, that becomes a staple to get that fast meal in them because, they're thinking they still got to do homework. They still got to take showers, whatever, right? All that's part of that fast-paced fast-paced life. But D going to break down to you how there's still better options out there that can be also cheaper, but we're told so much. The good, healthy stuff is to afford. I mean, you can't afford it. And
we're not told that. That's somewhat true, man. You can't walk in the store and buy healthy vegetables that are not expensive compared to like the romaine lettuce versus iceberg lettuce. Shit.
But here's right. I'm glad you said that, Terry, because what that boils down to is where are you shopping? What is healthy to you? What do you know to be healthy? Because see, you could say that, and you may be going in there looking at a bag of pre-washed romaine lettuce, where you could go buy a head of romaine lettuce that might be $1 a pound, and it really be $1.50. Now, are you going to really take the time to go home, cut it up, wash it yourself, dry it, or put it in the bag or something so it don't dry out fast, so you can use it for a couple of days? And we're at a society where most people aren't going to do that. You know what I mean? But I feel like most people that say that, huh?
I thought it was saying that it wasn't as healthy as the romaine lettuce.
What's not healthy?
The iceberg.
I'm not sure. Iceberg, romaine, I don't know which one it is, but one of them are more healthier than the other.
Romaine has a little more healthy. But D, go ahead and talk to us, D. What you think? What you about to say?
We break down what I feel like nutrition is and how people got it wrong.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Or when people say, you can't afford the healthy stuff.
Well, we got to understand what nutrition is. And let me start off how I got started on this path. I come from a background of growing up, my dad was a kickboxer, champion, instructor, personal trainer. So I always been into fitness. What's crazy is bruising on my walk. And I've always been an obese person. And I always try to figure out why I train so hard and I can never lose the weight. So that's what started my journey. And it's been like 20 years of trying to figure out what's the best nutrition and what's real nutrition, right? So with that being said, I've come to the conclusion through a lot of research, and it's just recent. This research only came out the last 3 years. You got something called essential and non-essential, right?
Essentials, the essentials and the non-essentials.
And non-essential, okay? So what I mean by that is what fuel does your body run on and what's optimal for human beings, right? So we all know what essential means, right? So fats and proteins are essential. And we can tell this by when we started with little babies growing up. They grew up and your body grow on eat milk, which is made of what? Fat and protein, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fats, right? Nothing else. Fats and protein. So that's what the human body's supposed to run on. Fat and protein. Everything outside of it is non-essential for your body. So we all know genetic outliers. You got some people who can eat whatever they want to eat, and they're gonna get right. We all know that person. I got a person, got a brother. He can eat candy, popsicles, ice cream, and he can do 5 push-ups and be swollen and cut.
Yep.
But for the majority of most people, we can't eat like that. And I was one of them. Does that make sense?
Yep, that makes sense.
That makes sense. Okay. So when you find out what your body really needs, which is fats and protein, which basically is like just meat. Our ancestors, every indigenous tribe, when you study what they mainly eat, it's fats and protein. That's what the human body needs to eat. And that's how you lose weight, you build muscles, you don't have heart disease, you get rid of diabetes. Now, we're in a society and market, they tell us to eat 70% of our diet come from carbohydrates, cereals, grains, wheat, bread, and that destroys your health, and sugar, right? So that's what we got to study in the research. That's what and Bruce can go into it, how it changed me and his life, just eating that way, proper diet.
Now, so 2 Bricks, you got anything you want to say?
No.
Okay,
I
so
agree.
I'm gonna say this. I like it when we can take stuff all the way back to say, look at the basics or the beginning. So for us humans, the beginning would be that baby, right?
Right.
Now, if you really think about it, the baby in the most natural, truest form, when it's inside that body or right after birth, is only on these fats and proteins. Now, what happens is we will talk to an adult today that will say, well, I can't eat like that because my body does this, or I can't eat like that because my body does that. And we don't really realize all the changes that our body has really went through and all the new things that we've introduced, starting with, we can't say that the V word on YouTube, so I'll just say starting with the mandatory shots that we have to get as babies.
Right.
And we get more shots before we can get into the school systems. And then we're just like, oh, the kid has asthma. Wow, who knew? Oh, the kid's got ADHD or ADD or whatever. He can't concentrate. She can't concentrate. We talk about these things like they just naturally came up, and we don't consider the other stuff that we put into play. You know what I mean? Like how healthy.
So you believe? Are you saying that foods gave this baby ADHD?
I didn't say foods. I said the shots. We can't say the
Oh,
V word.
vaccination. Yeah.
No, the shots. Right. So
okay, shots.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, the shots.
You said the shots gave them ADHD, caused them to have ADHD. That wasn't hereditary all throughout the family, right?
Right. Right. That's it's proven that.
Here we go.
And it's proven that things like that introduce these other things. You can see how many kids are more than likely to have these when they don't get. But I feel like a lot of people back in the day when we were younger really didn't hear about all this information. There wasn't this much research. Over time, it has been. So there's way more people at home like, I'm going to give my natural birth and I'm not going to do this, not going to do that. And they show like, hey, they're having these more natural babies without the problems. But really, I'm just talking about health. I'm just talking about food and our regular human body. Because if you bring it to the day where someone's an adult and they are working or this and this, you couldn't naturally just tell somebody, hey, you don't need carbs. You really just need meat. You need your proteins and fats. What's the first thing most people is going to say is you need carbs for energy, right? But we know, a lot of people don't know, but your body is going to either use one or two things for your fuel, right? And so if you're out of shape or you're eating bad or whatever, your body's looking for the sugar for fuel. Right. And the carb is that's basically carbs. You know what I mean? When you see your carbs number is coming from your sugars, fibers, things like that. So, Or you'll hear and for people that don't understand that, you think about a long distance runner, someone that's doing something that's really high energetic. They'll be like, yeah, I'll eat pasta before I go out and run and stuff. You know what I mean? Because it's a difference in how your body's using that fuel. If you're putting it right into your blood system right then, or if you're putting it in there and it's like, oh, I got way too much. I'm not doing anything with it. And then my body just store it in the fat. You know what I mean? Versus if you take the time to get off of the sugars and the carbs, your body will convert to running on the fats. Right? And then that's how you get to what D is saying, to where you're like, you're eating only meat or meat and vegetables. Now you've become what they call fat adapted. And for me, when I did it for D, now, I done fell off big time, but it's easy to get back now because now I know. Now I remember what it felt like when I was only eating meat or only eating meat and vegetables.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now, how sustainable is it for some people? Can you do it long term? Whatever. D will do it all week and have a cheat day or whatever. And that's enough for him mentally maybe to be like, okay, I'm still cool. I can still stay on track. But for people that's never did that, to feel that difference, you know what I mean? I mean, for some people, that's just going to go so much against the grain for what they really know to be true. It sounds like, what? Man, this man crazy.
And I come from a place of experience. I lost over 200 pounds, man. You can, Bruce can attest to it, man. I got before and after pictures on my Facebook, man. From going 200 pounds, never could achieve the physique I wanted. To now, it's easy. I work out about 10 minutes a day, train, and eat the proper diet. Boom, I got abs coming in. I'm swole. People think I'm on steroids. It's crazy. All because of my diet.
Now, I got a question. So, was you a heavy kid all your life, or what?
I was a heavy kid all my life.
Oh, okay.
I was a heavy kid my whole life.
I got a question too. So, we were talking earlier about kids being on milk when they grow up. So then I started thinking, like, well, when did they become lactose?
Lactose intolerant?
Right.
So you're asking why do kids become lactose intolerant?
Yeah, I mean, how? I mean, if we're on milk and then you just all of a sudden.
But there's bacteria. There's bacteria in milk that helps your body digest it. See, in America they pasteurize milk, so they heat it up real high and kill a lot of the bacteria. So we grew up on a lot of milk. The Maasai tribe of Africa is a tribe that a lot of people study, and they diet consists of milk, blood, and a lot of meat, and that's all they eat. They got very low heart disease and they live very long. So a lot of scientists are studying them, how they get so strong. And one of the things they do is drink a lot of milk.
You see, we got to understand with the industrial
cow's milk, or what kind of milk?
I think it's goat's milk. We got a lot of goat's milk. Yeah.
And Terry, that's what I was going to say. Over here, we got to realize problems that come with the first world country is all the machinery and factories and industrialism we have. So when you think about something as simple as, but the kids drinking milk.
What is needed.
Yeah. Well, I ain't gotta say it's needed, because there's third world countries out there that's still doing good. They just ain't doing good to us because we're in this first world country.
Right.
So we could go over there.
Okay.
They got a nice big family living together. Everybody healthy. Me at 60 years old still get erections, no issues. But over here in the first world country, we looking like, what in the world? But if you grew up over there and that's all you knew, you'd be like, yeah, we cool. Yeah. See, there's people in these other countries looking at us like, oh my God, all the Americans fat. What's wrong with them? They don't, you know what I mean? They think we tripping. They're like, what's going on? That's why it's all about perspective. But with this industrialization, the machines and all the stuff like that, everything that we have is so processed.
Right.
So something as simple as milk from a cow still goes through whatever kind of process, whatever, before it even gets to that store, putting in a bottle, whatever. So by the time they put labels, nutrition tables, and all the stuff on that, you got to think about how much gray area they can go around for the nutrition tables. You got to think about that expiration date and all the stuff like that, whatever. And all of that comes into account. But you got to take all that into account when you just think, why are kids lactose? You know what I'm saying? Like lactose intolerant and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, they
I'm just saying
deliver milk in the little glass, but like deliver to your house. You remember? Like, I mean, I'm not saying I was alive then, but I remember seeing, some pictures and articles and movies and all types of stuff about, them not water, but milk to your house.
Yep.
It's not interesting something to research and think about. Like, they weren't delivering water to your house; they delivering milk.
Hello.
Nothing
Hello.
else.
But that goes to show
Right.
you how over time, how things happen, you know. I mean, I get it, but that's what I say. It's coming with the first world country and the machinery.
Yeah.
The whole
Used to have
factory,
the milkman.
the whole factory system.
Deliver ice cream and milk and all that stuff to our house.
And see, Terry, you probably don't even really remember or realize it, but I'm sure that shit tasted way different back then than it does now also. Hold up, Terry, did they ever bring you any chocolate milk or strawberry milk or banana milk in them glasses?
Well, we had chocolate. They brought chocolate milk, but no strawberry milk. But ours was Sitton's Dairy, and they used to deliver. We had to deliver once a week, every other week, ice cream. Yes, it totally different. It tastes totally different than what we would have now. That's why I told you the other a couple months ago. I said this Dairy Queen ice cream that I eat today does not taste the same as what I remember back in the day.
Yeah, Terry did say that.
Formula will change, I'm sure.
But see, when we live in a society that's capitalistic, it's all about money. See, something so small as, you know what, let's use that lower grade of milk in this product can be the difference between hundreds of thousands of dollars for a company over a year. Just a change of one ingredient or just a change in how long they store it. You know what? We used to say that this has to be out of there for 5 days, but the way money looking right now, okay, y'all, let's just go ahead and push this out there. We're gonna let it stay 8 days now before we consider it expired. Because we can't afford
these companies. These companies are starting from a human, right? Like it's not a machine creating a company; it's a human which knows they have family members that's gonna partake in whatever. Even since we're talking about food, just like Subway or something with the yoga mat bread and stuff, like you know that you're gonna have nieces and nephews and uncles and cousins, and you might can control your immediate family and try to tell who you can, but eventually there's gonna be kids having kids that's having kids that's gonna eat this. It's gonna be your part of your lineage. So therefore, I feel like it should be like some kind of. I guess the morals are gone. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Bruce.
Yep.
They got me on that health spending account.
What do you mean they got you on it?
The old boy said there was nothing on that card.
Yeah.
It's $200.
Okay. But so the whole point is, Gene, people can understand stuff like that, but it's all about money. It boils down to the dollar, right? So this is the thing. The same way Terry said earlier, you're an adult, right? See, these people are here at these companies to make money. By the end of the day, when they make this McRib meat, no matter how many documentaries say this has got half of a shoe, part of a boot, three parts Timberland boot, a little bit of cow meat or whatever, you know what I mean? They know the company's creating it, know their guidelines that says this percentage of it has to be meat in it for us to call it meat, right? They know the guidelines to play in. They hire the engineers to make it taste how they want to taste because it's a business and they're trying to make money. Now, when you say, but what about the kids you go kill or whatever? They like, hey, that's the parents' fault. We're not making you eat this. We're running the company. So it's on the parents to say, let me learn this and learn that and teach my kids and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely understand that. I mean, you hear it all around, whether it's cussing in music or sex scenes on movies and stuff like that. It's all, hey,
Well, so that music made me go out and massacre 100 people.
Mm-hmm. You hear Grand Theft Auto video games? No, I'm just saying like that has been the voice of companies for years. Like, hey, it's not us. We're just doing this and making money. And it's, if your kids decide to go recreate Grand Theft Auto, that's on you. If they listen to this music and decide to rage, that's on you. It's been the motto. It's just funny when it get close to home that, sometimes people want to change that,
So the takeaway for the day. Man, somebody got us echoing. So the takeaway I feel like really should be is what I want people to understand is the way that you were born don't necessarily mean that's the way that you have that you are today, and it's for different reasons. Mm-hmm. Because I'm not going to say everybody, you know, don't nobody go out there thinking they can just do whatever they say they heard D do and they're going to lose all the weight and be healthy, whatever. That's why anytime you're doing a diet or a weight loss thing or a fitness thing or whatever, it's always like, talk to your doctor first. Right? We ain't doctors. We ain't know. We just sitting here telling you what we know was worked for us, what we figured out. You know what I mean? But you may have situations or issues going on now to where you can't do stuff like this. And I feel like it's going to be because of what you went through as a kid growing up or whatever. Your whole life journey has made these changes. Right. See, we weren't born like, oh my God, I just got to have this sugar. Or, oh my gosh, I got to have this or have that. You see what I mean? And I think that's the key to really think about. Oh, I like to look at it back in the day like this, like, okay, you know, some people believe in cavemen, some don't, no Neanderthals, whatever you want to call them. But I look back then like, okay, were they walking around like I got to have the carbs? Or I got to have the sugar? You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that's the most basic thing. So when D said, you think about a baby, all they needed was protein and fats. I'm thinking like, yeah, you know what? Just think about back in the day type stuff. That's all. I feel like that's all we got to do. Take it back to that basic.
Mm-hmm. Talk to your kids
and
now.
one thing, and you know, Terry kind of laughed a little bit because when you brought up how food can cause ADHD. Well, there's a lot of studies, and they already did this research. And matter of fact, the military did a lot of studies on this. When you take any animal, they took cats, they took dogs, they took a couple animals, they took them off their proper diet. Not only did those animals become weak and they died early, they kids, their lineage also suffered from a lot of health complications. Someone was born short, someone was retarded. That's just one generation. And then when those animals had their babies, those was even more deformed. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So we don't understand how important nutrition is to our body and the development. There's no such thing as you know your mom had this, and so you're gonna have diabetes. It's not hereditary like they say it is. It's about what you eat. When you don't consume the proper nutrition for your body, you're gonna have issues, right? And then your children are gonna have the same issue because you didn't eat the proper diet.
And
it's deep, man. It's deep. But now they eat what you eat. And you be like, it's hereditary. No, everybody in your family eating the same food. That's why y'all fat. Your whole family fat.
Whoa.
Hey, man, you just lost weight.
We ain't gonna talk about family trees and stuff on here, man. Golly. Listen, y'all. We love the fat audience like we like the fit audience, okay?
Right. I'm sorry about that.
God.
I went a little off on the tangent right there. I'm sorry about that.
Boy, they be like, they fat shaming. No, listen. BD still half fat. He's just a swole fat now. You know what I mean? He in his journey. He in his journey. He done came a long way. Mm-hmm. Most people, I feel like, battle with this journey their whole life. You know what I mean? It's up, down, up, down, up, down. And it's because it's hard with our habits and our life and stuff, you know, to be consistent over time. I feel like that's the biggest thing for me. But let's go ahead and get ready. Let's go ahead and get ready to wrap up, y'all. Any last words y'all got? Or anywhere you want to tell them how to follow you on Instagram. Terry, remember you Hinton48, Terry.
Yeah, Hinton48
on Instagram.
Try to eat. On Instagram. Right.
Okay. And what were you about to say? Try to eat something. What were you about to say?
Try to eat healthy. Make your life better.
Okay. And what you got to say? What you got to say, Doony?
You know, I just want people to start talking to their kids now, make changes now in the household as far as the health thing goes. It's real serious. Do more research. You know, every time you pick up your phone, try to get education versus, you know, watching people doing challenges that's non-educational, things like that. So, you know, really just talk to your kids now and, you know, move out the sugar.
What you got to say, D? Hold on, Gene. Can they follow you anywhere, Gene? Hold on, D. Can they follow you anywhere or what?
Yeah, right here on Word Brings Word. I got another podcast you can catch me on Bad Luck Boston on Apple, Spotify. Look it up.
All right, what you got to say, D?
Follow me on Instagram, Diezel2Swole. Follow Word Brings Word. I'm gonna be out here dropping this knowledge, and man, stay away from the carbohydrates. That's it.
All right, so you know I'm Bruce. Right. You know, make sure y'all follow us on the Word Brings Word. If you're on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. If you're on just a regular podcast channel, when you get a chance, subscribe on YouTube. You know what I mean? we're going to eventually get to the point to where we got everybody live and center, front face, you know what I mean? So you can see everybody and check us out so we can be a part of having a good time. If y'all got any questions or suggestions of what we can talk about or anything like that, put in the comments. We'll try to follow up with it. So until then, make sure y'all be healthy and just do some research for yourself, man. You know, you don't have to listen to everything everybody say mainstream. You don't have to listen to us. Go research it. You know what I mean? Vet what it is we're saying and, you know, take your own thing from it. So, all right, y'all. Until then, we'll holler at y'all.
You've been listening to Word Brings Word. It's Bruce's passion to bring in dads and men to give them a place to talk like dads and men, or to just come and hang out and have a place to pass the time. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had fun. Make sure to like, rate, and review the show. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, hook up with us on YouTube at Word Brings Word and find Word Brings Word on all podcast channels. See you next time.